Good morning. Well, this is going to be part 4, I believe. Gave the new project a good scrubbing, so it takes a lot of the toil out of working on it when you're constantly having to wear rubber gloves just to avoid getting grit and crust in your fingers. It was pointed out to me by some knowledgeable gentleman on Reddit that when he was looking at a photograph of my original RC10 Gold Pan, which is this one, about 32 years old and freshly rebuilt, runs really well. Again, I'll fix that white paint, or black paint, I should say. But one of the things that was pointed out to me is that with the Champions Edition, which is what this particular model is called, obviously a later model than the original, I noticed, or he pointed out, that with this particular model, the shock towers, these things right here, lay a little flatter. If you look at an original piece right here from the original kit, and then you look at the shock towers fiberglass here for the Champions Edition, you'll notice that they arch in a little bit, and that allows the front shocks to lay a little flatter as opposed to this model here. Gives it a little better stability. One of the things that I did notice when I was giving it a good scrubbing is that just like when you're waxing your car, your real car, you notice all the little dings and nicks and dents and things like that that you wouldn't routinely see. One of the things that I did notice is that if you look right here, you'll notice when you turn it, and I realize the lighting is a little bad, so I'll try to fix that. It's catching a little bit. Let me see if I can get that right there. You can see how it's rubbing right against that piece right there. That is something that is going to have to be rectified. Not that I think it drags a great deal, but it does provide a little hitch that you can feel when you're turning it. I'm not a big fan of the stock steering setup, but you can see how it's kind of catching a little bit, and then we're going to have to figure something out with that. Also, I noticed that right here, we're missing some C-clips. C-clips, like you see here, keep these rods in place, keeps them from sliding in and out. So that's something that I am going to have to deal with. One of the things that I did do, and if you'll notice from the previous videos, when I took out the transmission from this particular kit, is I'm not a big fan of it. I didn't like the way the differential was kind of sticking a little bit, a little binding there, and I was fortunate enough to be able to rebuild with, this is an original design transmission, and this is full bearing, whereas with the stock kit that I acquired, everything is bushings. A bushing, for those who don't know, is a little bronze ring that provides some stability and lubrication, but if you're into racing or you just want a more efficient car, you really want bearings. Bearings are much less friction, much less wear and tear, and admittedly one bearing here and there in the car isn't going to make a great deal of difference, but combined you've got several bearings, I believe 4. I still have to put the bearing around the wheel hub here, or the transmission hub, differential hub. There's bearings in the front wheel, but I noticed also there's a bushing right there. We don't like bushings. We prefer bearings. So I will be taking those down. All that is a pretty simple thing. Just pop that pin out there. That pin, in addition to keeping the wheel hub in place, it also grabs the tire. So those pins will seat in that area right there, and that's what gives you your power, your ability to turn this wheel. Otherwise, the shaft would just spin inside there and nothing would happen. But so far, it's been a good experience. I always recommend that if you're going to get into RC, buy a kit. Buy a kit, start from scratch, build it. If you can afford it. Most kits, at least years ago, came with bushings, and there are several sizes. They fit in various parts. These here, I have 6 right here that came out of the transmission, the stock transmission. That slows it down a bit. If you really want to get into it, buy a bearing kit, not that expensive, and they go in various places. Front wheel hubs, for example, you can see right here, there's a bearing. Much less friction, and your car will go a little faster. Later on in the series, we'll talk about motors, batteries, electronics. Right now, I'm just trying to get this to a rolling chassis, see what we can get out of it. But now that it's cleaned up, and because I've seen the defects, it's much easier to deal with, and it may require for me to order some parts, scrounging around on eBay, because this car is old. This one not as old as this one. This is probably in, if my memory serves, mid-90s, where the original car, this one here, came out around 1984. Fortunately, when I was rebuilding this transmission here, couldn't quite remember the exact nature of it, but I did save my copy of the original manual, so it was easy to just follow that step by step, pop them in place. You'll also notice here, as I said before, bearings, as I just dropped it. I have 2 bearings that will fit around here, and again, that keeps dirt from getting inside the transmission itself, but it also gives you a little less friction, whereas a bushing would kind of bind, especially if you get dirt in there. Sorry I dropped that. They are durable. Call it a stress test. But other than that, the project is going well. We're going to keep on going with it, and I will update as we go further. Thank you, and have a great day.